Greetings, salutations to Safe to Serve International and first-time viewers. Welcome to this midday power surge, your spiritual oasis on this pilgrim journey. I'm your host, Andrew Henriquez. Something is in the air. You know what it is. It is Safe to Serve Revival Retreat coming up August 7th through August 10th. I hope you're already planning to be present by God's grace. Now, friends, this coming weekend, this coming Sabbath, I want to personally invite you to our Center for Evangelism, for worship, and also for aggressive evangelism. We'll be able to pass out truth-filled literature, the books of present truth, as well as truth-filled brochure that address the gospel of health. This is what the world needs right now. All right, friends, we have been traveling, much preparation for the upcoming Sabbath Revival Retreat, the whole week there. So today I'm back in the saddle by God's grace. Well, right now I'm going to be addressing you have 70 days left from today until September 30, 2025. And what would take place on that date? The official phasing out of paper checks. I'm going to prove to you the phasing out of paper checks is actually the same as the phasing out of cash. It's going to lead to the cashless society. It's going to lead to a digital-only society as it relates to payments and transactions. And this is the money of the beast system, MOB, money of the beast system, which is going to lay the foundation for the mark of the beast, Sunday worship by law with persecution for God's commandment keeping people. Well, friends, I want to say this. 2 days ago, I wrote out a video, and I won't be braggadocious. I'm going to remain humble by God's grace. But the content that I proclaimed in about 3 minutes in that particular video, it's on our platform, has created a small stir. Many questions have been asked. Inquiries are being made. Many are asking, is the phasing out of paper checks really the phasing out of cash? Pastor, where did you get that from? So today, by God's grace, I'm going to address that head on. And by God's grace, hit the proverbial nail on its head. Drive that nail into a sure place. Well, friends, let's get right into it. A few days ago, President Trump signed the Genius Act, linked to the stablecoin bill. Take a look, take a listen.
And with today's signing, we're pushing even further into the exciting new frontier. Just as I promised last year, the Genius Act creates a clear and simple regulatory framework to establish and unleash the immense promise of dollar-backed stable coins. This could be perhaps the greatest revolution in financial technology since the birth of the internet itself. Let me say the entire crypto community, for years, you were...
So now the U.S. has become, and this is the plan, for the U.S. to be the world's crypto capital, the crypto capital of the world. And President Trump is officially declaring himself the first U.S. crypto president. Now, when I covered this on 2 days ago, I made mention in the title, sometime after 72 days, all of your monies in the bank, small amount, large amount, will become digital only. No access to cash. And that hit a nerve with people. And I also added, you won't be able to implement the 5 keys of survival then, once the mark of the beast is enforced. Say to serve, would you believe me that some folks actually repeated false statements that I said within 72 days, no cash? They have forgotten the word sometime, forgotten the word after. So sometime after September 30, when they phase out officially checks, paper checks, you'll see the official phasing out of cash as well. Now, today I'm going to share with you that what I said in that 3-minute video was simply an overview. Number 2, what I am projecting to come has already begun. Are you ready for this? Well, my friends, on the screen, it's right there. The phasing out of paper checks. It says paper checks is old-fashioned. Now we want simply electronic payments only. And the effective date is September 30, 2025. From that day forward, the federal government will cease issuing paper checks for all disbursements, including intragovernmental payments. Don't sleep on this. Do not sleep on this. I don't read things to waste your time. Benefits from the government, vendor payments, and the big one, tax refunds. And the objective is to modernize the electronic payment system, which they are now promoting direct deposits, debit and credit card payments. Watch this now, the digital wallets. Now, with that in mind, take a look and watch this video clip.
According to President Trump's executive order, the U.S. Treasury has about 6 months to phase out the paper checks it uses for things like tax refunds and the roughly 500,000 Social Security checks it mails out monthly. All federal agencies will also have to switch to electronic payments by September 30th. The order puts the responsibility on government agencies to educate people on their electronic payment options. And
Beloved, I'm going to simplify this for all of us. So please don't miss the next few statements. In that clip and also in the Trump's policy, it stated that tax refunds and Social Security benefits would no longer be paid with checks, paper checks. Now watch this. Have you ever wondered how many people actually cash their tax refunds? I'm going to share with you empirical data. As we would say, numbers don't lie. So how many people cash their tax refunds checks? On your screen. And you can punch this into Google. That number is difficult to tally. Top paragraph. But that middle paragraph says, watch this, 97% of tax refunds were issued via direct deposit leading up to 2025. Beloved, don't miss that. So 97% of individuals who receive a tax refund, it's not paper check, it's a direct deposit. Here is the punchline. This has been going on long before last week, Friday, when President Trump officially said, by September 2025, the federal government will phase out all paper checks. Here's the point. That policy by President Trump was simply making it official because it has been happening for years. Everybody, let this next point sink deep into your ears. if I receive a paper check from the government, let's say in the context of tax refund, I have at least two options to receive that money. Number one, I take that paper check, go to a local branch, physical building, and deposit that paper check from the government. Many of us once did that for years. Second option, I can go to my bank and cash it and get the monies in my hand. At least two options. I can go to a check cashing. Check cashing? Yes, a check cashing place, local brick and mortar place, and take my government check, present it with my ID, and turn that paper check into cash. You see my point? But now phasing out, watch it, phasing out paper checks is officially phasing out cash. That's a nail in a sure place. So what will you scoffers now say now? You cynics. Oh, Pastor, where does it say phasing out paper checks is phasing out cash? I simply gave you one of several, a plethora of other examples. Phasing out paper checks is phasing out cash. Watch this. You can also go ahead and look at this. Just punch it in. How many individuals filed and pay their tax returns with a check being mailed to the government and state or filing electronically? Beloved, leading up to 2024, 93% of all individuals filed their tax returns electronically. 93%. That means it also implies 93% of Americans who worked and filed their tax returns, they did not mail a physical check to the state or to the federal government. It was done electronically. That's 2024. Again, Trump just signed that into law. So what Trump did was simply to make official what has been going on for years. 2 points again, because some folks will miss it. The phasing out of paper check is the phasing out of cash. Watch carefully. How many people receive Social Security benefits via direct deposit? You can type that question into Google. 99%. 99%. Again, punchline, before President Trump signed that law, 99% of people were receiving Social Security benefits via not paper checks, but direct deposit. See my point? Yeah. It was simply making it official. The phasing out of paper check is the phasing out of cash. Number two, what if the government had mailed me, as an example, a Social Security benefit check? Again, everybody, I would have two options. Go to my bank and deposit that check and wait until it clears, right? Or I could go to my bank or any bank and do what? And cash the check. And have cash in my hand. The phasing out of paper check is the phasing out of cash. Next. How many people receive Medicaid benefits via direct deposit. That number is not known. However, second sentence, top paragraph, however, it is known that a large portion of Medicaid payments are made via what, everybody? Direct deposit, electronic payments, going both ways. Next, how many people, watch carefully here, friends, how many people receive Medicaid benefits? Friends, I want to read this. It says, beneficiaries still receive paper checks, suggesting the vast majority use direct deposit. Only 1%, by the way, pardon me, less than 1% of beneficiaries receive paper checks. Less than 1%. Do you see my point? It's clear, right? The phasing out of paper checks is the phasing out of cash. Okay, let's go one step further. My friends, do you know why I do this? To silence Dr. Scoffer, Brother Mocker, and Miss Cynic. People always look for things to negate the potency of the message. Come back to the screen. A large majority of people in the U.S. receive their salary via direct deposit. 93% of those workers, 93%. Think about that. I remember in the 90s in New York City, I would work and receive a paper check and go to a check cashing place or a bank, take my thumb, if that was not my bank, take my thumb and press into that ink pad. And notarize the back of that check with my thumb and my signature. And then I could take that paper check and give it to the clerk and she would give me cash. If you phase out paper checks, you phase out cash. Why we can't see that? So now, sometime after September 30, 2025, when officially they phase out paper checks, look out, the official phasing out of cash. That means all your monies, small amount, large amount in the banks, become digital only money. You wait until I come to that point. Beloved, I'm going to say something before I go on. Please don't miss this. Since this has been the trend, long before Trump signed that law, who was actually phasing out paper checks? It's not Trump. It's the people. So the talking heads on social media and legacy media would tell you Trump is the one that is about to phase out checks, paper checks. No. Data tells you it's the businesses. It's right there. The IRS. Long before President Trump. And the people who say, we'd rather have my salary be given via direct deposit. Do you know how many people are asked, how do you want your salary? How do you want your payment? Write you a check or direct deposit? The majority have said and are saying what, friends? Direct deposit. Move on from that. Numbers don't lie. I'm giving you empirical facts. It says in 2024, notice, 93% of individuals, 93%, file their taxes electronically. Now, this one was startling. It says, by the year 2029, 80% of Americans will be using online banking. You see my point? So who is phasing out cash and paper check? The people. 80% of Americans will be using online banking, a digital-only society. How many people shop online? If I go into a physical store, come on, friends. If I go into a physical store, I have two options, at least. I can pay with a card, that is electronic payment, or I can pay with cash. Watch this. How many people shop online on your screen? 80% of Americans shop online. So who is phasing out paper checks? Who's phasing out cash? Data doesn't lie. 80% of Americans are the ones guilty of phasing out cash because 80% shop online. Move on from that. Do you realize how ATM machines are limiting how much money you can withdraw? So the system itself is also guilty of phasing out cash. ATM machines are becoming inoperable, non-operating. ATM machines are closing. Banks are closing ATM machines. I wonder why. Because this is a tyrannical agenda to phase out cash. It's right there, friends. ATM withdrawals decreasing. Do you realize if you go to a bank, banks are limiting the amount of cash you can withdraw daily? I wonder why. And this has been a trend for decades. This has been the agenda to phase out cash. So don't stone the preacher when I say the phasing out of paper check is one and the same of phasing out cash. That has been the agenda. Money must fail. Stop it right there. Do you realize this current event that we are perusing and addressing was not done merely by executive order? If it was, another president could come and repeal, make null and void this law of phasing out paper checks, which ultimately will lead to the official phasing out of cash. No more options. This was done by Congress, which means for it to be repealed, come on, talk to me now, it must be done by Congress. I wonder, would Congress have that appetite in the near future? Number two, how does a nation speak? Through her legislative and judicial branches of government. It's Congress that's speaking this way. The U.S. Congress, do you see now, is speaking. No. It's whispering like a dragon. That's it, whispering. Very, very soon speak loudly like the dragon, fulfilling Revelation 13. The money of the beast system, make it only digital. And then it becomes intrusive, invasive, abusive. You lose your right to privacy. Not every transaction I want to be made public. Not every financial transaction I want them to be able to track and trace. Cash gives us that protection. But now, you have no privacy. Are we together? It's right there. Why are they limiting your cash withdrawal? Some banks, it's only $1,500. Some banks, it's $2,000. You get the point. Move on from that. And if it's over $10,000, you must fill out a particular form and give them your details. Here is the Fed chairman. His name is Jerome Powell. He would tell us the use of cash is decreasing. in the same breath when he is promoting a central bank digital currency. And on the other hand, he's also behind the scenes promoting the stablecoin cryptocurrency. Here is Jerome Powell, Fed chairman.
So cash is not disappearing here in the United States. We still use cash quite a lot. It is declining, not in absolute terms, but compared to non-cash payments, it's declining.
Yes.
And we're motivated by really what Christine was saying, to look very carefully at the potential costs and benefits of issuing a central bank digital currency here in the United States. So,
do you see, my friends? Is that point clear? The use of cash is declining. In the same breath when he is promoting a digital currency in America, a digital-only payment society. On the screen about a few days ago, Catherine Fitz made a statement with the host and her guest that Trump's stablecoin bill is a CBDC Trojan horse, because the stablecoin bill does the same thing as the CBDC. It's the same diabolical policy under a different name. And he stated the Federal Reserve read the room and knew that there was no appetite in America among Americans for a CBDC. So they simply changed the language to stablecoin. Watch this.
And now, my big question to you is, will the FedNow system work with stablecoins? Because if it will, John, then what you're talking about is this global push with stablecoins will literally put the Fed in charge. And what we may be looking is the Fed workaround to having to get legislation for CBDCs.
Well, I think that's exactly right. The Fed read the room correctly on CBDCs, understood that it wasn't going to ever fly. And now this is the workaround. Is just go through the back door, go through stablecoins, whether it's called FedNow or some other thing. It's the Fed is there in stablecoins.
FedNow, CBDC, stablecoins. This is Jerome Powell, Federal Reserve Chairman.
Looking forward, rapid changes are taking place in the global monetary system that may affect the international role of the dollar in the future. Most major economies already have or are in the process of developing instant 24/7 payments. Our own FedNow service will be coming online in 2023. And in light of the tremendous growth in crypto assets and stablecoins, we are examining whether a U.S. central bank digital currency would improve upon what is an already safe and efficient domestic payment system. As our white paper on this topic notes, a U.S. CBDC could also potentially help maintain the dollar's international standing.
Friends, a lot was said there in that clip. Let me highlight one point. His closing words. He said, if we have a digital currency, it will maintain the U.S. dollar's dominance. That was a Fed chairman. Well, here is the director of the U.S. Treasury saying the same thing, but now adding Trump's stablecoin.
And we are going to put a lot of thought into the stablecoin regime. And as President Trump has directed, we are going to keep the U.S. the dominant reserve currency in the world, and we will use stablecoins to do that. Thank you.
Beloved, in this segment, I'm going to quickly share with you what I covered this past Sabbath evening. I will not go into details because I just covered that content. That video is on the platform. This past Sabbath, the evening, the latter part of that service. Now, the stablecoin and CBDC do the very same thing. So when Trump says, I will make sure not to implement a CBDC, hello, breaking news. Stablecoin does the same, which shows hypocrisy on his part It shows deception on his part. Any audio? So this clip played in the church on Sabbath. It's not playing now. Okay, it's not playing. So in the actual policy, Section 5 read words, to prohibit a CBDC. Move on from that. Friends, you may pause the video and read these paragraphs that confirm the CBDC and stablecoins do the very same thing. They are based on the same platform, same technology that is called blockchain. Now, I won't play this clip.
It's not about, I think, is real.
I'll move on. All right? The video is there because I want to get to a potent point shortly. Stablecoin, CBDC, same platform. Now, friends, here is the crunch. CBDC and Trump's stablecoins, since they're based on the same platform and technology, both are traceable. Both are programmable. Mercy. That means both currencies, the government can turn them on or turn them off. That's it. They can tell you how you can use your money and how you can't use your money. Dangerous. The phasing out of paper checks, the phasing out of cash, all your monies in the bank now become digital only. You see it now? And it's traceable and programmable. This is the money of the beast system. And this is what makes it a big deal. It's right there, friends. Now notice, CBDCs create smart contracts. They're programmable. That clip I will play on your screen. The World Economic Forum tells us that stable coins are also programmable and they're smart contracts. Watch this. Listen.
That is, CBDC can allow government agencies and private sector players to program, to create smart contracts, to allow targeted policy functions. For example, welfare payment. For example, consumption coupon. For example, food stamp. By programming CBDC, those money can be precisely targeted for what kind of people can own and what kind of use this money can be utilized. For example, for food.
Mercy.
So this potential programmability can help.
My friends, we are told in the book Maranatha, page 162, for fear of wanting food and clothing. Let me start from the beginning. Human laws will be made so stringent that men and women will not dare observe God's seventh-day Sabbath. For fear of wanting food and clothing, they will join with the world in transgressing God's laws. Imagine the government would tell you, you cannot use your digital money in the bank to buy certain foods. That's what the man just said. He is, by the way, the deputy director of the IMF, International Monetary Fund. That's why this is a big deal. Come September 30, 2025, again, I'm going to recapitulate the official phasing out of paper checks, which is also the official phasing out of cash. And later on, you will see it. So are we to wait until the mark of the beast is enforced? To use the talent of money God has given to us to implement the 5 keys of survival? That is the crescendo. All right, let it echo. Cryptocurrencies are traceable and programmable. Don't let them fool you. Just as CBDC. Watch this now.
For example, welfare payment. For example, consumption coupon. For example, food stamp. By programming CBDC, those money can be precisely targeted for what kind of people can own and what kind of use this money can be utilized. For example, for food. So this potential programmability can help.
Did I just play the same clip? Friends, pardon me for that. I apologize. This is a clip which connects with the social credit score. Watch this.
One example in China, because I personally experienced it, right? Those transaction data can be utilized by service providers in credit underwriting.
Mercy.
In the sense that, those transaction data in terms of how many coffee I drink every day, where I buy coffee, do I use Uber every day, and what kind of working hours I have. Those non-traditional data can be very useful for financial service providers to give me a credit score.
Mercy. So what if your credit score is low? So now with a digital-only society, they have intrusive surveillance on everything you do. What you eat, you just said that. How you travel, where you go, what you buy, what you sell. The money is now programmable. And that's why 2 days ago in that clip I showed you for 3 minutes, I actually went point by point with the 5 keys of survival. Safe to serve, would you believe me? There were comments saying, Pastor, stop saying if and if and if and if. Now I'm going to go back to my ifs. So what if the government now says you cannot use your digital money in your bank to purchase a country property because we are promoting 15-minute cities? That means you won't be able to implement the second key of survival. Let's go down the list again. What if, and back to my ifs, the government were to say you cannot use your money to buy certain foods because the production of those foods contribute to climate change, calamities, disaster, and famine, etc. You can only buy these foods. You can only shop at these stores. And only buy from our approved locations. You won't be able to implement the third key of survival. Again, so when must we get ready? It's now. Number 4, what if they say to you, you can't use your money to buy certain books because hard copy books contribute to climate change because we have to cut down more trees to make paper. Yes. Climate change. So all books must be online. And now they will have the power to give you access to some books and block your access to other books. Because those books, they will say, promote misinformation, disinformation, malinformation. They're against our church and state union, the mark of the beast system. When we're told literature evangelism is the closing work, that's called Porter Ministry, page 11. Go read it, my friends. Come back here. You won't be able to implement the fourth key of survival. What if they tell you you can't use your money to give to certain people? You would not be, because we have blacklisted those people. Pastor, has that ever happened? What happened in the pandemic when there were some people who were financially supporting the truckers who were protesting against Babylon sorcery and the pandemic mandates? Not only the truckers had their banking access blocked, but the people who were sending them money electronically, they were also reprimanded, prosecuted. Their access was blocked. You would not be able to implement the fifth key. That is the crescendo. The phasing out of paper check will lead to the phasing out of cash. A digital-only society. And key number 1 is conversion. Beloved, all that Noah possessed. Go and read the book. I'm closing right now. Patriarchs and Prophets. Page 95. Paragraph 1 said, all that Noah possessed, he put in the ark. What is our ark? Conversion, country living, the 5 keys of survival. So now Noah did that before the crisis of the flood. So when are we to put all that we possessed in the building of the ark? Are we to wait until the mark of the beast, or is it now? Come on, talk to me. It's now. Watch this. Go home and read. Testimonies for the Church, volume 7 and page 56. God's people were told, take their monies out of the banks and put it into God's work. Not only evangelism, but erecting your ark, because evangelism is a part of the 5 keys of survival. I'm going to shout it. It's volume 7, page 56. Take the money out of the banks, put it into the work of God, circulation. In the work of God, the 5 keys of survival now, my friends. Potent. These points I gave you today was to make sure nobody is able to resist or to gainsay what was stated. By the way, what Trump is now doing, here the Prime Minister of Jamaica, similar words, similar movements.
In the coming weeks and days, I'll be making certain announcements regarding the acceleration of Jamaica's intention to become a fully digital society. We are well on our way to this. We have established the national identification system. We have put in place our digital currency. We have given directions to our ministries to digitalize their operations. Most of our ministries are now moving from paper-based systems to digital systems. Our military is transitioning.
You see, friends? And when he was caught, the protest was effectual. Prime Minister Andrew Holness backtracked. He said, I never said that.
There is no attempt by the government to remove cash, meaning paper money, from the system.
He just said that, my friends. Enough, enough. I've wrote those before. Enough. Just as we are told, the Federal Reserve, those tyrants, the moneyed men, they read the room. There was no appetite for CBDC. Let us have the same system under a different name. And the gullible people in the world and professed SDAs have accepted the agenda hook, line, and sinker. Beloved, do you remember this past Sabbath?
There are some...
Enough, no more video clips. This past Sabbath, I shared with you that this is a fulfillment of prophecy in chapter 11 of Daniel and verse 43. They will control gold, silver, precious stones, every part of the economy. And chapter 18 of Revelation, verse 10 to verse 13, they'll control all merchandise. And the objective, my friends, is slavery. Beloved, money's failing. Money's failing. Are we going to find ourselves prepared? Beloved, were these points clear today? Were these points clear today? You don't need to be extreme and be fanatical. Because some folks, Pastor, you're scaring people. When the doctor gives you the right diagnosis, is he scaring you? Would you rather receive the right, correct outlook, the diagnosis, or do you want to be lied to? Which one? You received truth today. Let's be found faithful, implementing those 5 keys of survival. Get ready. Remain ready. Get others ready before it is too late. The protest continues. The Reformation continues. By God's grace, I'll see you all tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern for Midday Power Surge.